tonight.
I'm here to make sure that you damn well know we can do better.
An emotional plea and a push for change. Saskatoon City Council votes unanimously for a road safety audit at an intersection where a cyclist was killed last month. Also, the Regina Food Bank marks 40 years of operation this week, serving more residents than ever. We take you inside a school to see the impact on hungry kids.
Not bad. I mean, obviously super excited, a little nervous too, so.
Plus, all eyes on Regina Pats phenom Connor Bedard as the NHL draft gets underway.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, June 28th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Saskatoon City Council voted unanimously to conduct a road safety audit at an intersection where a cyclist was killed last month. The vote came after an emotional plea from Natasha Fox's husband. Todd Fox was the first to speak to council this morning. His 33-year-old wife was struck and killed by a cement truck at the intersection of College Drive and Wiggins Avenue. It was nearly a decade ago that council had proposed a cycling corridor on Wiggins but didn't follow through. Todd Fox believes if they had, his wife would still be alive.
It's a loss and a trauma which could have been avoided with better decisions made in this room. I'm here today not because I want to be. I'm here because I feel I need to be. I'm here to make sure that you damn well know we can do better. She deserves better. Natasha died at an intersection that was known to be problematic for 10 years, and you voted and you deferred. Natasha's death was witnessed by her two sons. NASA asks, why did Ma die? And I tell him it was an accident. What kills me is one day I have to tell him and explain to him that it could have been prevented. People knew and didn't do anything. Council, your decisions have real-life consequences. Avoiding decisions, deferring decisions, tabling decisions, those decisions have consequences.
The city's Director of Transportation expects the safety audit will be complete before the end of the year. Regina's outgoing police chief has proposed a controversial plan in his last week on the job. Evan Bray is calling for new provincial legislation that would force people struggling with drug addiction into detention without their consent. Alexander Kwan reports.
This is a well-known fact. The only way someone can get help is if they want it. There are some people who need help, but don't feel they want it, aren't willing to get the help, and their life could be in jeopardy.
Regina Police Chief Evan Bray says forcing people who are addicted to drugs into treatment against their will could save lives. Bray uses the growing homeless encampment in front of Regina City Hall as an example of a situation where individuals have declined to receive help, even if it's offered to them. Involuntary detention is not a new concept, but it would be a new approach in this city.
A person is essentially not arrested for a criminal offense, but taken to a center where they're going to receive the health help that they require, but they're not leaving. They're there where they are going to be met with resources to help them and try and find a way to get them healthy.
Bray openly admits it is a controversial proposal, but he says it is something that has been raised in discussions with the province. Saskatchewan would have to introduce legislation to make this proposal a reality. On Wednesday, the provincial government would not say whether it is considering introducing involuntary treatment legislation, but did say it's monitoring efforts in other jurisdictions and will work with municipalities on addictions issues. CBC spoke to organizations that deal with addiction on a daily basis, including Prairie Harm Reduction and the John Howard Society. Both say involuntary detention isn't a solution and that everyone deserves dignity and respect.
At the root of it all is a person and is a human being, and they have to be treated like a human being, and they do have a right to choose what happens in their life.
The executive director of Prairie Harm Reduction says a better idea would be to fund services that help people with addictions, like low barrier housing, shelters, and treatment for mental health issues. Advocates say ensuring people want to get help and making the supports immediately available would be more effective in long-term recovery. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The murder trial of Joseph Thalberger wrapped up with closing arguments today at Court of King's Bench in Regina. The 80-year-old is accused of killing his brother 26 years ago. The Crown argues that Joseph Thalberger killed his brother Patrick due to a disagreement over the sale of farmland. Patrick's disappearance in 1997 was considered a cold case until 2020. That year, recordings of Thalberger speaking with an undercover officer reveal a confession. Patrick's remains were identified in 2021. Thalberger has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and claims Patrick's death was accidental. The judge will deliver a verdict on July 27th. School presentations from Planned Parenthood are banned indefinitely across Saskatchewan. The Education Minister made the decision last week. He says a review of the group's sex ed materials is needed. But as Jesse Anton reports, some say the ban is a step too far.
People could say that I overreacted. I think I acted appropriately.
Education Minister Dustin Duncan is standing behind his ban on school presentations from Planned Parenthood. It comes after a grade 9 student in Lumsden recently picked up graphic cards left behind by the group. They included explicit cartoons and information on sexual acts.
If I can't say it in front of you to the point that you can air it on your networks, then my view as a Minister of Education is that it probably doesn't have room in the classroom for it.
The opposition NDP leader agrees the material the student got a hold of was inappropriate. But Carla Beck still calls Duncan's ban an overreach.
It's in sharp contrast in how long it took the minister to act when it came to, for example, allegations of abuse at Legacy.
Beck is referring to the historical abuse allegations and now charges against former teachers at Saskatoon's Legacy Christian Academy, a private school that receives government money. Beck says in this case, Duncan's quick response fails to appreciate the value of appropriate sex education.
We're a province that has the highest rates of teen unplanned pregnancies in the country. We're a province that has the highest rates of STI infections in the country. This is appropriate curriculum.
Some parents have also written to the Saskatchewan government. They say the benefits to having sex ed taught by experts like those with Planned Parenthood outweigh this misstep, and they're asking the minister to reconsider the suspension. Planned Parenthood Regina declined an interview Wednesday, but in a statement last week, it apologized to the school division, adding it's also disappointed by Duncan's decision and that he didn't call them to discuss it. The group says it hopes to review things further with the province, and Duncan says he plans to have those conversations before kids return to the classroom this fall. Jesse Anton, CBC News, Regina.
Your Sask Energy bill could soon see a reduction. Sask Energy is applying to the Saskatchewan Rate Review Panel to adjust its commodity and delivery rates. The Crown Utility is proposing a 22% decrease to its commodity rate and a 5% increase for its delivery service rate. Overall, it says this adjustment would result in about $70 in yearly savings for customers. The minister responsible for the Crown says it's thanks to a drop in natural gas prices.
You know, I think overall people worry about affordability in a general sense, and we want to take a cautious approach. I think the role of government should be to act as a cushion and to absorb or to adjust. And overall, we're hoping that that people will be pleased to see a reduction.
The opposition says the government should have made this announcement sooner and not as a by-election call nears. The NDP also says a $5 reduction per month in energy bills is not enough. After launching last month in Saskatoon, Regina now has its own shared e-scooter pilot.
It's pretty loud.
Around 500 of the scooters have started rolling out at locations around the city, including downtown, the Warehouse District, and Wascana Park. They'll be operated by two separate companies, Bird and Neuron Mobility. Bird's chief operating officer says the scooters can help boost Regina's economy.
Whenever there's an e-scooter outside, there's usually a customer inside a business. So what that means is our partnership with businesses means that we actually drive more traffic to local businesses, restaurants, events as well, where people might have not actually gone before because they were worried about parking, worried about getting there, or worried about the journey back, right? So we've all been in the situation where you can't actually get a taxi back and maybe the bus is no longer running and you're kind of stranded. Well, that situation is actually very easily resolved by an e-scooter.
Just like Saskatoon's pilot, helmets are mandatory and riders have to stay off of sidewalks. The scooters will automatically change speeds depending on where you're riding, topping out at 15 kilometers per hour on pathways and 24 kilometers per hour on roads. Well, summer holidays have officially begun for most students in our province, and while some parents may be exhausted just thinking about everything planned, the kids are pumped.
I'm very excited for the summer. I'm feeling excited, but I'm also feeling kind of sad because I'm not going to have my wonderful teacher anymore.
Right after school lets out, I'm going to Spruce Meadows.
My mom's going to take me to Toronto to visit my cousins and my dad. Because I got to go to my grandpa's and go swimming.
Because my grandma is going to take me to BC.
I'm watching a show jumping competition.
My dad has cats, so I'm looking forward to that.
Probably go camping with my family and, yeah, pretty much.
Probably maybe like going camping with my Nana and Papa.
To go camping and see my cousin.
I'm flying out to BC with my sister and my dad to see my cousins out there, and then we get to take my cousins back to our house.
At my dad's, I'm going to his house for a month of summer break for the first time, and I get to be with my friends while he's at work. So me and my friends are going to be I get to see my friends a lot, and I'll have time with my pets and my dad.
I've always wanted to go there for a long time because I really love horses. I'm actually competing in my first show in September.
I'm excited because my cousins are going to have more sleepovers, and we're going to the Arts and Crafts Festival.
I'm going to hang out with my cousins and stuff, and I get to play with their dog.
The Red Ball Project is on the move in Saskatoon. The International Traveling Art Project has been in the Bridge City since Sunday. You'll find the 15-foot inflatable ball rolling all over. Today it's the Saskatoon School Board office downtown. Tomorrow you can find it at the Prairie Lily, on Friday at the Bez, and on Saturday it'll be on the traffic bridge. We'll be back after the break. A lot of students are celebrating the end of the school year, but schools are often more than learning centers. They're community hubs, and in some cases, a place where children can be sure to eat. The Regina Food Bank is behind some of those food programs, and as it marks 40 years of fighting hunger this week, Sarah Onyongo shows us the impact of that work.
I'm going to take and put them in Miss Benazel's fridge.
At the end of each school week, grade 8 student Kyla Forhorns puts together snack packs at Albert Community School. They have fruit, porridge, crackers, and applesauce. There's a package for every student in the school with enough snacks to last the students through the weekend.
A lot of people don't have money, so they can't afford a lot of food. So when they get those snacks, they're grateful because they probably are very hungry.
The school has a history of feeding students. It runs a breakfast and hot lunch program. But during the pandemic, those got shut down, and teachers worried students were not getting enough food at home. So it worked with the Regina Food Bank to get food hampers to families. Then, when students returned to class, the principal wanted to continue with snack packs on the weekends.
Our first year we tried to run it on our own by getting grants. Then the food bank stepped in and said, you know what, we are here to help you out, and we will help support you by bringing in the food.
The CEO of the food bank says it just made sense to partner up with local school boards to fight hunger in the city. John Bailey says distributing food through the school helps connect them to families.
More food isn't the solution to this problem. It's about making sure that they have the means to sort of break the cycle of food insecurity.
The school says tackling hunger is a starting point.
Kids are getting to school because they know they get to go home with a snack pack that day. Staff are relieved knowing that kids are going home with snacks over the weekend when we're not here to feed them in case they need something.
In my class, some of the kids take 3 of those bags because they're really hungry.
Forhorn says the snack packs often feed more than just the students.
Sometimes I don't like usually eat all my snacks, so I give them to my mom or my siblings.
Sarah, my mom, my dad, and my siblings.
Read books and then watch movies.
And as classes break for the summer, the food program doesn't end. The Regina Food Bank delivers hampers to the school every other week, so families can drop by to pick them up. Sarah Onyengo, CBC News, Regina.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Used car savings is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. Things are heating up in the north.
Yeah, they sure are. In fact, the far north of the province getting to be the warmest part of the province this afternoon. And we are seeing now a heat warning in place for portions of the northwest and north central portions of the province. Stony Rapids, Uranium City, and through down to La Loche and Clearwater River Provincial Park as well. We're seeing 2 consecutive days here of temperatures during the day at or above 29 degrees, which is what we got to today in a lot of those locations, and not dropping below 14 degrees overnight. Of course, that heat warning criteria just a little bit lower in the north than it is in south and central Saskatchewan. Also note that we still do have air quality advisories. These have been in place now for the last few days for La Ronge and Pelican Narrows, Cumberland House areas as well. We'll start with the heat, and Uranium City was actually, and still currently is, our hotspot right now, just over 28 degrees. But really through all of south and central Saskatchewan today, we got a bit of a reprieve. We had a cold front move through, and that dropped temperatures kind of low in some places, actually, only into the low 20s, barely getting above 20 right now in Wynyard, but it is still quite warm in that southwest corner of the province. That cold front also bringing through a little bit of forest fire smoke and haze to south and central, all caused by these fires right around the La Ronge area. But as we go over the next day or two here, we're seeing those winds begin to shift directions back up from the south, so that means we should get rid of the haze in south and central. But as we head up towards South End and Wollaston Lake, we could see heavier pockets of smoke over the next couple of days. And of course, we are looking at that fire risk increasing right around the La Ronge areas, where we're seeing that high risk and getting into the extreme risk in southwestern Saskatchewan. And with that heat in the north, we're seeing it there too. A clear day today across the province. Very unsettled conditions in Manitoba with that low pressure center moving in, tornadoes potentially touching down there. But for us overnight tonight, we're still looking at high pressure moving in, which will keep us clear. Tomorrow, that high pressure moves through south and central Saskatchewan. Now, we're not expecting really any thunderstorm activity. Might be a little bit of thunderstorm activity in the north, though, the far north, with those warm temperatures and as that high pressure begins to move out. And then Friday, some potential storms in south and central as that high pressure finally pulls away from our province. And with high pressure in effect, we're generally not going to be seeing a whole lot of wind gusts. Those will only pick up in the thunderstorms that we see. It could pick up a little bit in the north as we head through Friday as high pressure moves out. But really, that ridge that's keeping that warm air in place is going to continue as we head into the holiday weekend. But then heading into the beginning of next week, we see some troughing beginning to our west, and that will help bring temperatures down as that high pressure begins to move out, as you'll see here in our 7-day forecast in Regina. But before then, boy, that holiday weekend is going to be hot. We're looking at humidex values into the mid-30s, a little bit breezy as we head through Sunday, but more comfortable temperatures into next week. And Saskatoon, again, a pleasant day tomorrow, but then that humidity really building in. Chance of showers, thunderstorms Friday, and then things beginning to clear out. So nice comfortable temperatures, but oh boy, that you're going to need a lot of sunscreen as we head into the holiday, Sam.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
We're back after the break. Canada has banned testing on animals for cosmetic products for items like makeup, shampoo and lotion. Advocates say the ban has been a long time coming and Canada has lagged far behind. Marina von Stackelberg reports.
Very slight wiggle.
The health minister may be just learning how to make cruelty-free bath bombs, but advocates say Canada should have embraced the lesson years ago. A new law passed last week bans all testing on animals for cosmetic reasons. It's something more than 40 countries have already done.
It also sends signals to those countries that would like to sell products in Canada in the future, that will know from now onwards that they won't be able to do that if they test those products on animals in the world.
Europe began banning the practice nearly 2 decades ago, paving the way for new technologies that ensure cosmetics are safe for humans without the need to harm animals in the process.
Quite frankly, over the last 20 years, it has made it possible for the cosmetics industry to be able to move away from animal testing and still meet government toxicology requirements.
We don't believe it's reliable. We believe it's unscientific to test on animals. It's a very blunt, old-fashioned tool.
Canada's cosmetic makers have already voluntarily stopped testing on animals, but other international cosmetic brands still do, mainly because China has required it for their products to be sold in that country. But that is slowly changing, thanks to bans like this one, preventing Chinese cosmetic products from being sold here.
Any cosmetics that are newly animal tested, whether that is the finished product or the ingredient, if it happens after this ban comes into force, they will run into a trade barrier in Canada.
There are exemptions to this new law. Any cosmetics previously tested on animals can still be sold. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Mangled pieces of metal and other debris from the doomed Titan submersible were unloaded in the St. John's Harbour this morning.
It's a puzzle that needs to be put together, and it's backtracking as far as possible into how the decisions were made to start the construction of this and how it led upon the point where it collapsed. And very key also is going to be the launch and recovery and how this vessel was tracked down towards when it failed as well, because there may be some human factors.
Some of the wreckage was recognizable, bits of the nose with its signature porthole and chunks of the landing gear, all dragged up from the ocean floor by remote-controlled recovery tools. Officials will scour through this, looking for anything that might help explain why a tourist trip to the wreck of the Titanic ended in catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 people on board. The U.S. Coast Guard is leading the investigation. And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
All sunshine for Regina and southern Saskatchewan tomorrow morning, looking at 17 degrees. Winds fairly light from the northwest, and as we head into the afternoon, sunshine sticks around. We'll be still seeing those northwest gusts, but a little less breezy than what we saw today. Thunderstorm threat generally over for southern Saskatchewan as we head into tomorrow. For central Saskatchewan, again, pretty much a similar forecast for Saskatoon, sitting at 17 degrees. Winds will be from the southwest tomorrow, getting rid of any haze you see from forest fire smoke or anything like that. CJ got close and personal with a cinnamon bear in Prince Albert National Park, and always sending us these great photos. Thanks so much, Chef, for sending that in. It looks a little bit contemplative, Sam.
It looks like a sculpture.
It does. It's not even moving.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you, he has gone from being the captain of the Regina Pats and Team Canada at the World Juniors officially to an NHL team.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
Connor Bedard selected number 1 overall in the NHL draft today by the Chicago Blackhawks. The 17-year-old center from North Vancouver, BC, scored 71 goals and 72 assists in 57 regular season games for the Pats in the Western Hockey League this past season. Bedard is the second player ever taken first overall by the Blackhawks in the draft. The first was Patrick Kane in 2007. Rounds 2 through 7 of the draft are tomorrow. And that is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great night.